Right, this afternoon, Honor Blackman is going to be joining me because she's doing a one-woman show, which is all about her life. And apart from being a Bond girl playing Pussy Galore, apart from being in the Avengers, in fact, does anyone remember this? This is a wonderful little track I'm going to play to her. Oh, actually, I haven't got it there. I'll play it in a moment. It's all about kinky boots. Don't know if you remember this, but anyway, I'll play that out in a moment. I don't even know if she remembers making that recording, but it got into the top 5, and apparently Simon Mayo played it non-stop on Radio 1. So Kinky Boots will be heralding her arrival just after 4 o'clock. Before that, though, we are going to be talking about cufflinks. As we head towards Christmas, how sexy is it? There are 2 things in films that I think are very sexual moves, and that's when a woman says to a man, "Can I do up your bow tie?" Which, when you're my height, is almost impossible. Actually, unless I'm standing on a chair. And I've never said it. I don't even know any men that wear bow ties, but they do that in the films. Can I do up your bow tie? Or can I help you with your cufflinks? And I think cufflinks are really sexy on a man. And I'm wondering, boys, is it as annoying to lose a cufflink as it is for us to lose one earring? Why don't they make earrings in 3s? Why don't they make cufflinks in 3s? Well, that's one of the questions I'm going to be talking about to an award-winning, very young, actually, jeweller from London. Her name is Babette Wasserman. And she's also, I've just met her, and I said to her, there's nothing ugly in your life, is there? Everything about her is beautiful. Everything she's wearing is beautiful. Plus, she's just shown me a picture of her fiancé, who's beautiful. So we're going to be talking to her about the do's and don'ts of cufflinks, plus other things to do with jewellery as well. So, yes. Oh, we'll take calls on this, actually. How many people listening to me have got only one cufflink remaining in a cufflink box? Or how many of you have got cufflinks that have been handed down through the family? And how many of you go without cufflinks? And have you ever had to make do by putting a safety pin through? Or has that just happened to somebody I was living with when we were students? If you could see what I could see in here, you wouldn't believe we don't have security in here with us, actually. We have a collection of jewellery that has completely blown my mind, because I believe jewellery, you either get it right or you get it naff. Those are my thoughts. I'm a real jewellery snob. I mean, I think it's because I'm so small. What I wear has to be really good because I wear so little of it, because otherwise I just look like I'm wearing my mother's jewellery box. What has been laid out in front of me here is stunning. We're going to start off talking about cufflinks, because I was saying I think it is one of the sexiest acts ever when, as your bloke is getting ready to go out at night and you say, "Can I help you with those cufflinks?" It's a phrase I've never used, only in my dreams. Most of the men I've ever hung out with have never had cufflinks, or else they just wear them for that special night. And of course there was a time when that was, very much part of a man's attire when he went to work. And as I say, those days have long gone. Maybe they're coming back. We will discover. Because joining me in the studio with an array of jewellery that is absolutely mind-blowing is an award-winning young jeweller called Babette Wasserman, and she is here today. You can hear her racing around, actually, because she's actually unwrapping everything. She's here today on the afternoon show. Hello, Babette.
Hello.
What I love is when I met you in reception, which was 5 minutes before we came to air, we didn't have a chance to look at anything, and you have literally, within the course of love affair and everlasting love, laid out my
jewels, my crown
jewels, actually. For a start, I'm going to say something really crass, which is I would have thought you were too young to have ever been able to produce this amount of merchandise. But you started young, didn't you?
Yes, I started when I was 24. So I worked for a couple of years after I graduated from St Martin's, and getting some experience under my belt, working as a jewellery designer and also working in PR. And then I decided to set up my own companies.
And are you a London girl?
I am London girl, born and bred.
And going to St Martin's then, I always think going to an art place like that is probably more fun than going to a drama school, isn't it? If you think of the people that have come out of St Martin's, was it everything I would have wanted?
It was a really interesting place, because you had such a mix of different people, different skills as well. Everyone was learning different subjects. You had the fashion set that were a particular type. Then you had the graphic designers and the painters and the jewelry jewellery designers. So it was a really nice hub of creativity.
And with jewellery, it's very interesting, isn't it? Because not only are you designing, you're almost a scientist, aren't you? Because you've got to get the metals right. And the learning curve of practicing on cheap metal isn't a good idea if you're going to be a top quality jewellery designer, is it?
Well, that's why I think it's nice having been to a creative school, because they teach you to push the boundaries a bit. And you learn working with silver, actually, and you learn working on copper. So it's quite different when you come out into the real world and start actually producing them on a bigger scale.
If you make a mistake with silver, then can you melt it back down again and start again like pastry?
Well, you can. You can take the raw material because it's still worth something. But obviously there are costs involved. We make things with masters and moulds, and there are all costs involved in making the initial piece. But eventually, yes, you can melt it down. But the whole point is not to make a mistake in the first place.
Of course. Now, you are a big name in cufflinks, actually, which I really like, because you were trailblazing is probably the best way of putting it. And you were explaining to me, because you were working on a budget, obviously you weren't as a success right at the top of your career, at the beginning of your career. You didn't copyright an idea, which is now something that many of our listeners will be familiar with. Which explain their double cufflinks. Explain what that is.
Well, I kind of call them two-faced cufflinks, or night and day, and it's like a round disc that you swivel down a bar, and it means that you've got two completely different cufflinks in two different looks in one cufflink. So you've got one side which has Swarovski stones on it, and then you slide the middle kind of donut part down, and then on the other side you've got a completely different look with maybe no stone and polished silver and enameling. So a businessman could wear it for an evening occasion or during the day for an office meeting.
Just you saying that, I just think is so sexy, you know. I love the thought of a businessman caring enough to change his cufflinks, you know, after the working hours.
Well, it's important when you're packing for a business trip. Men usually don't want to take a whole load of things with them. They're very efficient, they pack light, they're carrying their suitcases on the airline. So I try and think about all these things when I'm designing cufflinks for men.
So you came out with this idea and people ran with it because you couldn't afford to copyright it. I expect you're spitting pips, aren't you?
Well, we started selling it in Harrods. I've done it for lots of different brands and lots of different department stores around the world, and I still do sell them really well. And each season I come out with a new take on this design mechanism.
Now, Babette, just explain before your invention of the double, the two-faced cufflink. A cufflink would have had obviously the ornate part, and then what do you call the other bit that goes through? The peg?
Often it's a torpedo back.
Torpedo back,
the
exactly.
swiveling part at the back, yes. So those are the standard things.
And from what you can see now, would you say cufflinks are very much enjoying a renaissance? Or, you know, that whole thing of they say during a recession we all look backwards, you know, and this whole English gent and people wearing tweed and all this sort of. Do you think it is the people are wearing more cufflinks than before?
I think people are wearing more cufflinks than before. They go through fashion phases, but what I find is when we are going through a difficult time and a recession, people are actually looking for a way out, something to get their imagination going. So having something that's a little bit fun, a little bit quirky, or a little bit clever, or a bit different releases that tension.
Let's have a look at the tray you've brought in, and these are. We're going to try and photograph some of these and put them on our website so that you will see them later on at the end of the interview, because they are absolute. Oh my goodness! Right, I'm going to explain them in layman's terms. There is what I think is smoky quartz, which is one of my favourite stones. Is that smoky quartz? I have the light so low in here, Babette. Is that smoky quartz? That one I'm holding up there?
It's actually a Swarovski crystal.
Is it? Oh gosh!
Yeah.
See,
the colour is called black diamond. That one.
That is beautiful. Now these are all stunning. What I love, there is something here which I can only describe as. And they are so male, although I'm going to ask Babette about this because I expect women wear these as well. It's like a very small twist of rope. And that's what's holding the head of the cufflink. It's a twist of navy rope. I can't do it justice. And then I don't know what the heads are made of. They're silver.
So that's it's all rhodium plated, and actually that is it's Japanese silk, and you put those through your sleeve and you wrap the silk around the edge of the sleeve, and it makes such a beautiful cufflink. It's really original, but the look is so different.
So that goes round the edge of the sleeve. So
Yeah.
you've got a lovely crisp white cuff.
Exactly, with a nice navy blue silk kind of plait that goes around the edge, and then you fasten it at the back. And actually, that's one of my best-selling cufflinks.
And it comes in a red as well, just so we can give people an idea of the price of these. What would they retail at, Babette?
They're about £65 to £75 retail.
That's really good.
Yes, it is good.
That really is good because they're a lovely weight. I seriously thought they'd be a lot more expensive than that. I'm now picking up these because we've got an email come through, and I'm going to read this out. Nicola, I'll read your email out in a moment. Anyone else that wants to send them in. These are quite retro. Explain these to me.
Yes, those are beautiful. That's the brand new collection. Those are little enamel buttons, and we've actually sewn cotton into the front of them, like a little crisscross in navy blue, and then painted green enamel around the edge. So they're really bright pop colours, and they're all inspired from my latest collection, kind of 1950s men's couture.
Well, then you're going to love
tailoring.
this. You're going to love this from Nicola, who's listening. She says, Joe, my husband wears cufflinks all the time. He has a growing collection and particularly likes to find original art deco ones. I've noticed that the ones he wears mostly are the ones I give him with our initials entwined, which must say something after 30 years of marriage. We're going to talk about marriage in a moment. But he will, if you like vintage then, Nicola, he will love these because, as Babette says, even when I sewed on a button at school, that crisscross you do in the four eyes of the button, that's what she's reproduced on a cufflink, which is fantastic. Oh, my goodness. Explain this. So these are, I'm now looking at interactive cufflinks, which now.
So this is one of the things that I like to specialise in, doing something a little bit different than the norm. So you've got a round face cufflink. That one is called the rotary round cufflink, and it's got little mosaic of mother of pearl and blue cat's eye on the left hand side, and then on the right hand side you have half of the circle that actually clips around, and you've got Swarovski crystals on one side or plain metal on the other, so you can change the design yourself and again wear something a little bit more sparkly or have something a little bit more sober.
I love the weight of these cufflinks, you know. And the reason I say this is, if for the practical reason, if you lost one, you would feel it. Because some of the cheaper ones are so light, you wouldn't know when they've come undone. This, you would feel that there is something missing that's been hooked into your cuff. Now, I'm just going to read out, sorry, there are loads of emails coming in. If you want to phone up, by the way, and tell us about the cufflinks that have been passed down in your family, the cufflinks that you are fond of, feel free to do so. It's Babette Wasserman. Wasser man, who's in the studio with me, and the number is 020 722 42000. Right, here we go. This is a skeptic. Are you ready for this? This is from Liz. Joe and guest, aren't cufflinks pointless as rows of buttons on the end of sleeves of men's jackets? What does she mean by that? Does she mean that the rows of buttons push the cufflinks off?
No, she probably means that you can't see the cufflinks if you're wearing a jacket over it. But actually,
what's
a lot of cuffs do come slightly longer or come out of the jacket sleeve. And also, men don't wear their jackets the whole time. They do take their jackets off. But I mean, there's a particular style of person who likes to wear cufflinks. You have men who only wear shirts with cufflinks, and actually, nowadays, as men are becoming more and more metrosexual, they do like to decorate themselves more. So they're wearing tie pins, lapel pins, they're changing their belts more often, they've got many more different types of shoes, they're looking at accessories a lot more than they used to. And now it's okay for men to wear bracelets. It's really cool and trendy. For men to wear necklaces. It's fine now.
And I love a cuff coming out at the end of a jacket and seeing the cufflink on.
But there's nothing nicer than that, to have a beautiful shirt finished off with a cufflink, because it really shows that someone has paid attention to the detail of their outfit.
What would you do? I mean, I have never thought about this, actually. I don't think I've ever bought men's shirts, but, you know, there are the famous brands that you get three. I was looking 4 shirts for £100. I was looking through it. We all know where I mean. Would those shirts have holes for cufflinks, or do you have to get a specific shirt?
No, you can get them in any high street shop. You can get them in in all the designer brands as well. Everyone usually has at least one, if not many, types of shops. Yeah.
For a cufflink. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right, this is from Steve, who's listening online in Wisconsin. Nice to know you're out there, Steve. He says, I often wear cufflinks during the work week. I have always liked the look, and the people that I work with always comment on my cufflinks, saying they haven't seen anyone wear cufflinks for such a long time. Oh. Well, you're actually on trend, Steve, because we're saying here... as Babette says, they are back in vogue.
We sell a lot in the US as well.
Now,
actually.
this is from Beulah, who is a regular listener, who says, Joe and Babette, I want to buy a gift for a good friend of mine who has a who is a high-powered company director, cannot think of what to purchase. Cufflinks for ladies. She is a lady. What would you suggest? Women can wear these
Absolutely.
cufflinks. Do you make these as unisex?
We make them as unisex. We also have different models that suit different people. So we've got slightly smaller ones that can appeal to women as well as men. And lots of different colours that suit ladies' shirts as well, like pinks and purples. And
so there is you can aim for the ones I have in a tray here, or you can. And I'm holding back on this because this is just. I'm so sorry for all of you who says if she mentions dog one more time I'll spit. This is a silver cufflink of a bulldog, which is just stunning because. How on earth have you managed to get a character of a bulldog on something so small? Only a bulldog owner would know this, actually, because the tail is perfect and the face and the stance, which is so indicative of, they sit in gravity very well, bulldogs, actually, which is why they can skateboard so well. On a cufflink. This is inspired.
Yes.
Did you make this specifically for a dog lover, or have you always run this range?
It's actually a brand new range. This is Spring Summer 14, so you are actually getting a preview of next year's range. But it was inspired by a range of cufflinks that I did about a year ago or so, which was called the Cockney Rhyming Slang Collection. And within the Cockney Rhyming Slang Collection, I had taken expressions from Cockney rhyming slang and made cufflinks out of them. And one of the pieces in the collection was dog and bone. And then at the back of it, you had an iPhone, which was really fun. And so this is the next collection on from that.
This is fantastic. And is it? Do you do any other breed apart from the bully?
I did a horse and hound, which was a special collection. I don't know if I'm allowed to mention the name of a department store.
Go on,
or not.
and then I'll throw in a few more.
It was for Harvey Nichols. Where I did a special collection just for them of really English, quintessentially British cufflinks. And I did a Cockney rhyming slang horse and hound. And we also did elephant and castle and parcel cufflinks, which was fun.
I love it. You've got a fan listening to us, Mark, who emails us quite a lot, says, I have a pair of Babette's mod Target cufflinks.
Oh, gosh.
I saw Paul Weller wearing them on the front cover of GQ.
1997.
He says that
I think
15 years ago.
Yep.
They still look good and can be a great icebreaker when you're out. You see, that's it. People would say.
My first collection.
Really?
My first collection.
Did Paul Weller commission them, or did you?
It was picked up by his stylist, and we didn't even know about it.
Every designer's dream.
Yeah,
that something like
fantastic.
that happens, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Can you stay with us for a bit longer?
Yeah.
We'd love a call, please. Tell us the history of your cufflinks. Tell us where you got them from, what you're looking for, if you've designed them, your favourite pair, or maybe you're searching for a pair for a special occasion. We're going to be talking actually about Babette's imminent marriage, actually. Imagine what it is like marrying a jewellery designer. How do you choose their ring? Well, we will discover when Babette reveals them all. Right, it's 3:30, time for the news with Jenny, and then we'll be back. Just to remind you that Honor Blackman is going to be joining me after 4 o'clock, and we have actually found the Kinky Boot track, which is very titillating, actually. We'll play that out a little bit later on. Now, I am just indulging myself here in the studio with Babette Wasserman, who is an award-winning young jewellery designer, and we've been talking about cufflinks and asking for the history of your cufflinks as well, and were they passed down to you from dad to dad? I mean, if you are female and you wear cufflinks, then you're breaking a trend, really, because there are few and far between women I've ever seen wearing cufflinks. But also what your cufflinks say about you, and also it'd be really nice to know if well, we've already had one person say that they've been wearing cufflinks designed by Babette, but if you've had any cufflinks designed for you for a special occasion, let us know. 020 722 42,000. Let's go to Mark, who's on the line. Hello, Mark.
Hello, how you doing?
Very
all right?
well.
Hi.
Good to speak to you. Go on then, talk to us.
No, all I was going to say was that I knew Babette years ago in '97 when I had my shop on the Farringdon Road, and I would buy cufflinks from Babette, and I've still got that Target cufflink. That unfortunately, I don't wear that often because I always wear short sleeves now. But,
Now,
I think they're great, but go on.
No, but Babette, just chat to one of your customers, Babette, because she's smiling
Hi,
all over
Mark.
her face.
Hello, all right, how you doing?
Good, thanks. Nice to hear
Long
you.
time no hair.
Do you know what's interesting, Mark, is that you've still got the pair, because most people have been saying, I used to have a pair and I've lost
I've
one.
got loads.
Are they all Babettes, or have you got them from all different designers?
I think they're mainly Babettes because it was quite easy because she would like sort of turn up at my shop like an apparition, and they'd be like a bag full of like a briefcase, like quite a smart case full of cufflinks, and I'd be like, well, I'll be buying them for the shop, and I'd be like, well, I'll have 2 of those and 4 of those and 1 of those, and you know, so I might buy maybe like 10 or 15 pairs at a time, or maybe 5, can't remember. And the ones that we didn't sell, I would just sort of take home with me, you know.
Well, did you have any idea what a success she was going to become?
Well, no, but I remember you saying earlier that she looked ever so young. And that's quite right. So I seem to remember, like, back in '97, she's like this 15-year-old kid. I mean, she's obviously older, but she looked dead young, and I thought, bloody hell, where's she nick these from, you know?
I thought I looked smarter than that.
So you thought she was just selling you hot jewellery, not knowing she'd design it. Great call. Thank you very much indeed, Mark. Thank you for that. Gosh, hang on to the ones you didn't sell. Mm-hmm. They'll be worth a fortune now. So you've certainly did your groundwork then. You were up and down Farringdon Road, was it?
Yeah,
flogging your jewellery.
All over London, yeah, all over UK as well. When I started my company, within about 6 months, I started selling to some big department stores, John Lewis, and then Harrods and Harvey Nichols, and it just went on from there.
Good for you. And that must be a real worry, actually, because the people I've spoken to on this radio station who start a company, it's keeping control of it, isn't it? Because when you can become a victim of your own success, and that's when it all goes wrong. And I suppose, you know, as much as it must be lovely sitting designing jewellery, also balancing everything and keeping control of everything. And
absolutely,
you've already said one copyright idea you couldn't even afford to copyright, which is such a shame. But, you know, the chickens have come home to roost, and now you're doing really well. And this is another fantastic idea, because I was saying, as far as my earrings are concerned, it really annoys me when I lose one earring of a very favourite pair of earrings. Why don't they sell us earrings in 3? Well, you've come up with a great idea for how not to lose cufflinks, because they're magnetic. Thank you very much indeed. So when you take them off, they will just cling to each other. You're never going to lose one.
Well, because when you're in a hurry to leave your flat in the morning and you just want to grab your cufflinks and put them on, the last thing you want to do is start ruffling around everywhere looking for the other half. So this way they'll always stick together in the box because they're magnetized, and so you'll never lose the other half when it's in the box.
Now, just to lead on to something else, which again is groundbreaking, and this is what happens if you are a designer. You have to keep ahead of the game all the time. There is a new range out which is lovely, and this is the sort of thing. What is that website for mothers that's oh gosh, you'll know what it is. For mothers and children, and they advertise all the latest stuff that comes out for between mums and newborns. And this they would just love, because it's called Maman Bébé, and it's a piece of jewellery which is for the mother and the child, and it's linked. Just describe this, Babette.
So there are different parts in the collection, and it's all designed around the idea that the baby comes from within the mother, and so the designs are intricately fitting into each other. So you have a little heart for the baby to wear, or the young girl. and then you have a matching larger shaped heart for the mother, and you can take the heart off of the baby's necklace and you can link it onto the mother's necklace so she can wear both hearts at the same time.
Fantastic. So this is a great present for newborns and for first birthdays and all the rest, and it comes in this packaging is so important, and just seeing you laying out everything as well in these beautiful jewellery boxes which are all velvet lined, it's so theatrical. All of it is so theatrical. Right, this is from Ben in Barnes, who says, Joe, a dear old friend of mine, a well-educated businessman with a down-to-earth personality, once borrowed my rarely worn cufflinks, having forgotten to pack his own. He lost one, and the remaining one is in a box. It somehow made its way back to me, but unbeknown to him. 2 years later, he very grandly presented me with my cufflinks, apologising for the delay in returning them. I couldn't tell him that he wasn't very good at covering up. He'd obviously gone out and bought another couple of cufflinks.
Or get them made.
I mean, have you ever thought of making 3 earrings or 3 cufflinks, or is that totally impractical as a jeweller, do you think?
No, I haven't done that before, just because then you add extra cost into it and not everyone loses it, so it would work out more expensive for everybody.
We must just talk about your forthcoming wedding, because I was saying just before we went to the news, that's a nightmare for anybody, isn't it? Who's got to... When he proposed, did he bring a ring out, or did he say, look, design your own? What did he do?
Well, he very sweetly invited me for a very romantic dinner, and on the table was actually a box, and inside the box was a necklace that he had bought for me, and he knew that I had liked this necklace from another brand, and when I opened it I was very surprised to see it, and I was like, what's this for? And then he asked me, would you marry me? And he said, well, I couldn't exactly buy you an engagement ring because I knew you'd want to design your own and I would just get it wrong either way. So,
and you are designing
I am. I will, yeah. I'm going to design my ring. I'm designing it in my head at the moment, and then when I've come up with the exact design, then I'll start sketching it down.
So has he given you a budget?
No, not yet. I just need to decide how many carrots I want.
Yes, what you can work within.
Yeah.
Listen, I've loved meeting you. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
and
Jo.
congratulations, because you won, was it Designer of the Year? Or
I've been nominated 4 times in a row for the UK Jewellery Awards, and just recently nominated for the British Jewellers Association Designer of the Year, which is going to happen in December. So fingers crossed for that.
And it's so lovely, actually, to have a caller that takes you right back to where it all began, when you were sort of flogging your wares going up and down Farringdon Road.
With my suitcase.
If people want to have a look at your designs, then is there a website?
My website, yes, which is babette-wasserman.com.
And for any of you dog lovers out there, there is this amazing, do you call it Cockney rhyming slang, the whole range?
There's Cockney rhyming slang, and then next year, at the beginning of the year, we're going to have the little bulldog cufflinks on the site.
Babette Wasserman, thank you and congratulations, and good luck with your future wedding as well. And I'd love to see the ring once you've designed it.
Thank you so much.
We're going to take some photographs and put them on our website as well, so you can have a look at some of these. And we will continue to take